Greetings, Patrick here. Welcome to Eight Questions with Have Cheetah Will View. Welcome to the show. It's the second show of the week, and glad to be here with you guys. Had a great time last night. Talked with our good friend Matthew Kenner. Um, it was a good talk about a serious subject and what actors have to go through to play unsavory characters. Um, I know a lot of actors they tend to want to play, dark characters. Sometimes you talk to people say, "Would you rather play the good guy or you play the bad guy?" And they always choose to go toward the evil guy because they seem to have more fun. Well, not the character that Matthew is playing. I mean, his character it's in real life. It happens every single day, every hour, every minute, and it's not exactly a role that I would, as an actor, I mean, it's a challenge, but it's not the first role I would actually be looking out for. Like, yeah, I want to play, an abusive husband or an abusive mother. I'd rather do something else if possible. It's like what they want me to play. They want me to play giraffe number three. Sign me up for that. You know, I, but he's doing it. And he's gonna, and Diary of an Accomplice is gonna be quite the film when it gets made. So today we are going behind the camera. I've been doing that a little bit lately because I just loved going behind the cameras. It's a lot of fun talking to the talent, but I love the nut and bolts of it. And so we're talking with cinematographer and film editor Daryn Davidson of Bold Media Films. So not only is Daryn uh, filming a film, but she also edits, and of course, always interested in editing. I think there's just like actors in a sense that they're always going to have some. You can ask some of the same questions, but you're always going to get different answers. And I'm really curious to see to talk to Daryn about how she does it. Now, one of the films, what actually she sent me a link to a show that she did called City of Honor, which is for the second time in a 2 weeks. It's a pilot. London and Bridges was a pilot for a comedy, but City of Honor is a pilot for a crime drama. Uh, think like Hill Street Blues or and, think something like that. It's gritty. It's real. I watched the pilot on Tubi. It definitely has a heart. Wow. If I can say one thing about that hour-long pilot, it has a lot of heart. They do everything they can with the budget they have, and it's very interesting. And In fact, I will be putting up a review of that probably either later tonight or early tomorrow. Of course, as you know, I don't do reviews of any project of any film until I talk to the filmmaker. So, well, Daryn may be the cinematographer and film editor. That's good enough for me in this case. I'm good. I'm good. I know there's a lot of people who will probably come by and check it out. I hope you do. I think City of Honor has potential, and I definitely hope the creator of it, Jose Torres II, I hope he goes back and does another one sometime somewhere down the future, because his pilot was well done. It was very interesting. You could definitely see where he wanted to go with it, and yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. Let's see. And Anthony is still having issues. All right. Well, I hope Anthony's not pregnant. That's the only thing I can say about that. Uh, ho- Hopefully you're feeling better, Anthony. Uh, don't be picking fights with anybody because you're not feeling too well. Now, yeah. Oh, he's finally up to 2017 now. Okay, he moved up. He was doing 216. Now he's doing 217. He's getting quicker. Probably in a couple of weeks, we'll be at 2018. And so, congratulations on that. So, tomorrow night, keep my fingers crossed because this month is going to be a real. a real adventure. I am trying, since I have no longer access to Facebook, so I have to figure out some way to get a hold of my guests, so to let them know that we're still going on. But of course, what really sucks about this is I can't promote the shows and the talent like I really want to. That sucks big time. It really blows. Um, uh, but I am confident we'll be back on Facebook sooner than later. Uh, so tomorrow night we'll be talking with actor Mike Markoff. He'll be here tomorrow night. On Thursday we have a double header, uh, and we'll be talking to Annabella Shinable. Oh, I'm probably killing that name. And then on the nightcap we'll be talking to. Let me get my calendar. You would think after a whole month I have these all memorized, but I don't. So, Annabella Scheibel on Thursday at 2 p.m. at 2 p.m. And then we'll be talking with Mary Patel Gallagher at 8 p.m. New booking. I'll be hanging out with the cat and the gnat. I'll be hanging out on Friday, and we're going to be talking about Dracula. That's right. We're going to be talking about Dracula, the 1930 movie, the original one with Bela Lugosi. So we're gonna be just doing a watch party for that. We're gonna be talking about the movie and doing a watch party. Um, so yeah, I did a first for me. I think it was JT's third, but we did a live watch along last week. I think it was Saturday, and we did watching The Guest. Man, that movie was bonkers. That was an interesting movie. It's too bad it didn't do better at the box office because that really could have been interesting. Um, but we're going to be talking about Dracula on Friday at 3 p.m. And then Saturday, this coming Saturday, I will be doing a watch party here on my channel, and we'll be watching The Little Mermaid. Oh, look who's here! It's my good friend Nora. I'm probably the only person that does that too, but I'm all right with that because I love it. Nora. Uh, how you doing, Nora? It was a lot of fun hanging out with you in your channel the other day. You guys were scratching away into the lottery tickets, and your friend only came $2 short from breaking even. And I do believe Nora actually won some money. Hey, Nora. That's right. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Now, okay, so I'm totally lost about this. I was confused as hell. So I see all those scratching coins, right? Those are beautiful scratching coins. The first scratching coin I ever saw, Pete had one. Pete had a scratching coin. But then he didn't. I can't understand what happened to his coin. Did he give it to somebody? Did he lose it? We have to get Pete a scratching coin. He's been doing it with regular coins again, but he needs a new scratching coin. I think that would help his luck. Yeah, I didn't know those were a thing. Those scratching coins are super. They're those are really cool. I don't know how you guys get them. I don't know if that's a no. Pete is yeah. You know what it is, Nora. Honestly, and so a lot of us have talked about this behind the scenes, but we think that Pete has won the lottery. That's what we think. I do. I think he won. I mean, I think he won a lottery prize, and he's just like, nope. Yeah. So that is cool. So each channel makes their own. I know, right? Am I wrong? I mean, no one can prove that we because a lot of us think the same. Yeah, he's doing okay. See, that's what I thought. I had a feeling about that. We were talking about that a bunch. It's like, why? Because like he wouldn't do an interview with me, and then it was like, yeah, and we just got the way he does the scratch off every single week. And I'm thinking, you know what? I bet you he won already. And then when he went to Italy, that's what really closed the door for me. I said, oh, Pete won. Pete won the lottery somewhere down the line. But you know what? He is playing it absolutely the same way I would. All right, the doorbell has rung, so I'm going to bring into our guest, cinematographer and film editor Daryn Davidson. So stick around. Here we go. Hello.
Hi there.
You came in just in time to join my good friend Nora. As I like to call her, Nora Charles, though I
Yeah.
don't think she knows who Nora Charles is. I have a feeling you know who Nora Charles is.
I might. I might. In what context is it?
Uh, okay, I'll give you two names and see if you can get them.
Okay.
William Powell and Myrna Loy.
A movie?
A series of movies, actually.
Series of movies.
Very, very, very well known franchise.
I feel like I'm being put on the spot. I feel like I've seen this movie, but I can't think of the name at all. You have to tell me.
The Thin Man.
Oh, Shut the Front Door. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So our good friend Nora comes in, and I'm going, Nora. Yeah, but the Thin Man is like one of my top 10 franchises ever. I
Nice.
have the whole collection in my.
Sick.
Yeah, they're so much fun.
Oh, yeah, it's so
William
sick.
Powell.
I have not seen one of those movies in a long time. A very long time.
It's weird how this works. It seems like with more streaming, you would
Mm-hmm.
see this a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But it does seem like the more we do have streaming, it's actually the less that the golden age of Hollywood is actually shown.
That is true. That is true. Because when I was growing up, I watched like TV Land a lot, and that rerun like a ton of old TV shows that you don't see playing on television anymore. So I have like a lot of references to old shows that aren't shown at all, and you can't find them. They're not on Blu-rays
No,
anymore, not on streamings. Like Tubi is like a great like I watch a lot of old TV on Tubi.
yes,
That seems to be like a great like archival, but like Netflix and some a little bit of Paramount, but like the major ones, they don't have a lot of the golden age
no,
of movies.
no. Our good friend Nora says hello to you.
Hi.
It's hi, Darren. Don't mind me. I'm a goofball. No, she's a very sharp-minded lady. She
Mhm.
knows. She does like her screen name is a Stock Explorer. That's not just for show. If you want to know if you want to know about the stock market, that'll be the person you want to talk to,
Sick.
and Nora. But if you want to talk about film editing and cinematography, you'd be the person we want to talk to.
I know a little bit. I know a little bit.
It was funny you mentioned Tubi because I was actually watching City of Honor.
Oh,
Uh, uh,
awesome. Thank you so much for watching.
yeah, I gave it a thumbs up, and I think that episode, the pilot episode, I think it had a lot of heart.
Why, thank you. Thank you very much. It was definitely a labor of love for that
Yeah,
one. What's funny about City of Honor, it was not designed as a TV show when we first started talking about it. Like I was talking with the writer and creator Jose Torres, and we met like a year prior to that, and he just said, "I want us to do like a bunch of like little short films." And he kind of gave like about 7 different short films, and one of them was a kind of a precursor to City of Honor. And so it was going to be like an 8-minute short film. And then as we were talking and developing through it, we was like, I think I can make a show out of it. And he started creating this whole thing. And along with Jim Towns, who wrote it, the actual pilot, he came up with this idea by the end of, the end of 2024. And then we filmed from February and March. and then had it out by April. So it was a very fast moving like development of the project once we started on like boots on the ground going.
Now, where was it filmed at?
It was filmed in Burlington, New Jersey. So like kind of south New Jersey, about 25 minutes away from Philadelphia. It was a combination of Burlington Township, Florence, and I'm thinking, Old Bridge, New Jersey. So we filmed like a lot of it south, and a little bit in the center.
Now, I guess when I was sitting there watching it, I was sitting there going like, man, I really hope they come back with something because I know pilots are,
Yeah.
man, pilots. I did a whole spiel about this, but in case anybody missed it, so pilots that used to be a big thing in Hollywood for
Yeah.
TV. They make 50 or 60 pilots per year,
Hmm.
and then they would use that to pick out the movies or the TV series they would run, but they don't do that much anymore.
No, a lot of them are like mini series now. Like they're very much going into like very mini series kind of base stuff. Like we're doing episode 2 right now. We're trying to we're looking for funding. We're looking for a home for it. We're looking for a place that it will like thrive and thrive. And it's a little bit of a hard thing to do, especially independent like TV shows. Like myself, everyone that's involved in it is like super like into this show. Like people are coming from Maryland, from Delaware, from Pennsylvania. The local community is behind it. We're filming now in Vineland, New Jersey. The police department's behind it. Like there's a bunch of people, like a local community that is strong and wants this to happen and is trying to get Hollywood, or just not even like full Hollywood, but something like in like another step below it that would just be interested in it. So we're pushing it and trying to get. I think it's good. I think it's very good. I think I
I
wouldn't be a part of it if I didn't think it was good. So we're
you
just
know
kind of like crossing our fingers for it.
I think we've already touched upon probably where it would be at home at, and considering that they're now doing more original content, and
Yes.
that would be Tubi.
Yeah. Well, we are having a small partnership with it at the moment. The Jose Torres is a powerhouse of a man, and he is somebody that can chat and somebody that, once you start talking to him, you just get infected with his energy. And he actually has a somewhat a stronger relationship with a up and coming streaming site called Fossum, and so he's starting to build a relationship. It's like kind of like trying to go up against Tubi because Tubi's pretty
Right.
big too. But
Yeah.
he's working in the Fossum area and trying to develop like a Tubi area, trying to get like original content for Tubi. That would be ideal for us. That'd be
I
amazing
mean,
if that could happen.
I know that they started running original content from certain YouTube creators. They have their own little
Yes.
section now. Um, yeah, I don't have that's interesting. I haven't seen anything on it yet.
Mm,
I like watching the movies, but I know that they're trying to develop their own
yeah.
content. And
Yeah.
I know that Xumo, NBC, Universal, NBC, Comcast, I know that they're also looking for things on Xumo because
Oh,
nobody really knows about Xumo really,
no.
and it's like that's prime ground. I think
Yeah.
a lot of filmmakers are going to do what you suggest. I think they're going to go to the lower or the tier. I mean, because network TV as we know it,
Is
I mean,
dying.
okay, yeah, I was just going to ask you what's your opinion about that, and
It's
you're right.
uh, it's dying. I mean, it's going the way of the dinosaurs, unfortunately. I know that a certain demographic of people still watch it. It's about like, 50 and over. But the my nieces and nephews, they all watch YouTube shorts. They all watch stuff on YouTube or stuff on their phone. Well, what is that? That's YouTube, that's Tubi, that's Fossum, that's other things that are like coming up and trying to be of more of a digital age versus a satellite age or a television age. So yeah, I mean, like in my heart of hearts, would I love it to be on NBC or CBS or ABC? Oh, heck yeah, that would be like a
Yeah,
dream. It's like maybe as a kid watching something there. But I also realize that that's just not going to be the way it is. It's going to end up on an app, and my hope is that it's going to be something that it's going to grow City of Honor, and if I were to dream, it would be like a flagship. I would. That's my dream for it. But
yeah.
but if I say it out loud, maybe it will happen. But yeah, I mean, that's the way stuff is going towards the streaming, and it's lower streaming because it's so hard to get onto Netflix. Netflix makes their own content, especially since
Yeah.
Netflix is now building their,
Studio, aren't they in
yeah,
New
studio
Jersey?
here in Jersey, yeah, and Fort Monmouth. And Disney does their own thing. Hulu's being bought out by Disney. Paramount's doing their own thing. I mean, they're all the big ones are doing their thing because they have the money and the resources. So it's now fighting for, okay, what is that underground kind of level? And Tubi's come up strongly for it, and I think a bunch of others are kind of on the coattails of it, or coming up.
Let's see. Let's see. Thorn David Videos. Hey, welcome in. Welcome in. I think you're new here. Welcome in. And says, hi everybody. We are in need of new content. We're in need of new platforms. Is what we need.
Yeah,
We have content. We need the platforms. We need
yeah,
sites like Tubi and Pluto and and Zumo and
yeah,
Fossum to that are free. I mean, I know they notice this. They notice that more and more people are they're going to the free sites,
hmm,
and that's it's like they're competing.
yeah,
Like a Tubi has over 270,000 hours.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, you can sit there and watch Tubi and not watch anything else and not repeat anything else, probably for the rest of your natural life.
yeah. I mean,
So it's
there's also another thing with Tubi that's kind of interesting, and it's also like a psychological thing too. Is like Tubi's free, but you sit through commercials. But the commercials aren't like obnoxiously long. They're like a minute or two. It's fine. The ones that and I pay for them are the Netflix or the Paramount or um, uh, HBO Max. HBO Max has not gone to commercials yet, but other ones have, where you have to go in the lower tiers. And I'm paying money for a subscription, and I still get ads,
yeah,
and it drives me nuts. But Tubi doesn't drive me nuts. Fossum, it doesn't drive me
no,
nuts because it's free, and I'm cool with that. It's just kind of an interesting like psychology that goes into it. So yeah,
and now
I'm a Tubi watcher.
yeah, it's interesting because that's what Netflix was that was it was his big card.
Yeah,
His big card was we don't do commercials.
yeah,
Come with us because we don't do commercials. Okay,
yeah.
so now I'm streaming and all of a sudden now I have commercials coming up. And then when Tubi and Pluto popped up there, all of a sudden before you didn't have an alternative. You had a
Yep,
ticket, but
yep,
now it's like I don't have to take it anymore. I can
yeah,
sit there and be patient. So.
yeah.
Um,
Agreed, 100%.
now I want to go back to the beginning to see how you got your start in this crazy business and how Bold Media Films got off to its start. And
Okay,
so let's do that.
cool.
Uh, so talk to us a little bit about most of the time when we talk to actors or actresses, they always started off as being in front of the camera. Were
Hmm.
you that way, or did you always know that you really wanted to be behind the camera?
So it's funny. So I've always wanted to be behind the camera. So when I first started even thinking creatively, I didn't even start thinking creatively until college age. And that was mainly because I was starting to kind of, dabble in photography, like very much like I had my own like Canon camera. I was starting to take photos. And my father was the one who was like, oh, I found this course, a college course that does photography. And when I was looking into it, it had a filmmaking course. And it was like a light bulb like popped into my head. I was like, filmmaking. I never even thought about that. And then when I started researching different positions behind the camera, I never wanted to be an actress. I was like editing. Editing, like it was like it became as more I looked into it, the more it was so powerful. It's like the final eyes before anyone
Hmm.
else sees it. You're the arbiter of what, like you're deciding what like performances and when to cut and when not to cut and when do you go to what angle and whatnot. It just all fascinated me. The putting the pieces together. Like I love puzzles, so it's like a giant puzzle, and like being able to do that as a job, it makes me very happy. So I went into just doing post production work. So I went through schooling as post production. I had internships as post production, and when I got out of schooling and trying to get like like jobs, I was starting to get onto independent projects, and they needed somebody that was on set more. So somebody who knew the protocol of being on set. So That's what I did. I started going out and trying to get like PA positions, and then I stumbled upon a place called the NJ Film School up in New Providence, New Jersey. They did after school program, after like evening classes, and I started going there to just learn what is it like to be on set and what is the protocol for on set. I ended up becoming a teacher there for 8 years. So I went from like being a student there myself to being a teacher. And because of being a teacher there, I learned even more about how to be an assistant director, about a cinematographer, what's a good editor, because I had to teach it. So I pushed myself greatly. I did do a couple acting things very lightly because I wanted to be able to speak if I was going to direct or was going to be on set, or if I was going to be able to look at other people's performances as an editor. I wanted to know what it was like on the other side so that I could, I could understand that part. So I did that for 8 years. How Bold Media Films came about it. So my partner, William Willis, and I met about 8 years ago, and he and I had done a bunch of independent projects, bunch of short films, shorts, learning the craft, trying different things, horror, comedy, action, drama, sci-fi. We're just messing around trying to become awesome. So it was after the pandemic. It was actually during the pandemic, I think 2021, 2022, when we decided, you know what, we're going to go past us doing like short films, and we're going to do this. Like he was a, IT person, and I was, a teacher. And then my school, closed because the person who owned it, Chris Messinio, he decided to retire, and he was doing his own feature film. So he needed to move on. And so I was like, you know what, that's my incentive to move on as well and go into company and start going into features and TV and start really going in for the jugular for it. But when anybody ever asks me, like, what do you consider yourself? I consider myself an editor first because I can cut the film in my head. So when I'm on set, I can help with the cinematography and the lighting and some direction, because I can imagine in my head, oh, you could go from here to here to here to here to here, and then this would all like move fluidly, and then you wouldn't have a problem in the edit. But then I also have, because of being a teacher, I'm extraordinarily well organized. So I became an assistant director. So I love being on the set because it's like a different kind of like puzzle piece together, of like making sure everything runs smoothly, that the time is going. And then third, I would consider myself a cinematographer. And that's just because I like, how do you get a pretty image? How do you get a pretty image? How do you get moving images? How do you get something that you can classify as an art piece? So it's like, in a weird way, it's just been like, it's been like water. I've been just kind of flowing through it. Whatever direction it goes with, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go there now, and I'm going to go here now, and just kind of flow with it. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Looks like one of your friends, Lenny, has just walked into the chat and says, Darwin is it Darwin or Daryn?
Daryn. You said it right the
Daryn.
first time.
Okay.
That was awesome.
Okay.
That was Daryn, yeah.
And he says hello.
Hey, Lenny.
And that you are amazing. I personally feel this way in talking to a lot of the filmmakers and directors and editors. I've come to the conclusion that the very best film editors are directors.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I totally agree. I
Yeah.
don't consider myself a director, even though I have been in a directing position. I like being assistant director. That's just my own personal kind of feeling. I
Still
don't need
directing though. I mean,
yeah.
do you do?
I don't like
But you do.
I like.
But you do second unit stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you have to go out
I
there.
do.
Okay, well, that's that's why they call it assistant directing. I mean, you are directing. You're just doing some of the stuff that the main director can't in order to save budget and time. I mean, that's
Yeah,
really how a second unit is. It's supposed to. I mean, you could shoot it, but with this one director, but it might take 20 days. Suppose a
yeah.
second unit you can get it done in 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a second, if I'm not mistaken, a second unit director doesn't direct dialogue, right? He just directs action.
It depends. It depends on the scenes. When Andy Serkis directed, he was second unit director for The Hobbit, and he did dialogue scenes for like small parts for it, and it really just depends on what how the director trusts you and stuff. So I've been really lucky with the directors that I have worked with, who have trusted me greatly. So I have directed actors and helped with stuff, or people just asking my opinion for things. And so I've been very, very lucky in that aspect. I'm a very I'm a friendly person. I'm also very chill. I just do whatever anybody needs me to do, and I'm happy to do anything that makes the day run smoother. And that's mainly my kind of, if the day is running smooth and fun and everything's going well, I'm very happy.
What was the first project that you went on after you went to your school and you came out of? What was the first project where you actually were on set for an official production, and what was it like?
Oh, wow. That was a long, long time ago. The first project that I was on set when I was DITing for was a short film called Chicken Franchise. And I was just there as to collect data, and I was going to edit this short film. And it was in a small house, and it was a cute little romantic, drama film. It was supposed to go one way, but then there's a twist at the end, and it's like a very cute film. And that one, I was so interesting. It was a 10-hour day. It was a 1-day shoot. Everyone was amazing. Everyone was super nice. And that's when I started getting that kind of like observing a lot of like different jobs and who's in charge of what and who does this and that. And I just stayed back and just kind of observed a lot. And now if somebody needed help, I jumped right in and was like, oh, how can I help you with this? Oh, maybe you can do this, or maybe you can do that. The one thing, and that's actually the same shoot that I met my partner, William Willis. And and I remember this very strongly. It was, they were doing a shot, and it was looking into a stove, and there was a ton of smoke that was coming up off the stove, and so it was like fogging the glass up of the camera a little bit. And he was looking to the camera, and he forgot his glasses. He didn't have his glasses on, and so he turned to his assistant camera, and he said, "Could you do the shot? You have better eyes than I do." And then they switched positions, and in that moment, I went, "Oh my gosh, I like working with that dude because he doesn't have an ego." Because I've met so many other like people who can be cinematographers before that were in school, that were like, I'm God's gift to earth, and no one touches my camera, no one does anything. I'll get a terrible shot just because I won't say I can't do it. And that one was like, that's exactly what I like. I like
Is
that,
it
those type of people.
is that attitude that of newcomers coming out there with like, I'm the God's gift to cinematography?
Yeah.
Are those people are just coming out of school and they haven't really popped their movie making cherry, so to speak. It's their first set as well. Does that go away after their first set? Do they realize that they're not all that, and that they're just there to do a job and do or because I can understand you come
Yeah.
in with that bravado, because
Yeah.
a lot of times bravado hides fear. Like,
Yes.
okay, I'm on my first set, and I don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come across as being like I'm the best.
Yeah.
But once they have that first set underneath their belt, the first time the director says, "Yeah, I'm not really with that camera angle," the
Mm-hmm.
first time that they're stopped, "Oh, this is
Mm-hmm.
my idea. Well, that's not mine. Let's go this way." Do they, the second set they go on, do you feel like they sort of mature between the first set and the second set, and
It's
then
really
they're
it's really a personality based kind of thing. I have seen exactly that, where somebody comes in with bravado, and then the next time you see them, they've done at least 2 or 3 more projects, and then they've grown from that, and they've taken different criticisms or different work, and then they kind of keep growing, and they're a little more humble. But I've also seen in the reverse. I've seen the same attitude from one project to another. And whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, that's just who they are. And a lot of, when I taught, and this sounds meaner than it is, but it really isn't. It's just kind of how human beings are. And as an assistant director, I do a lot of managing of people. You just have to work with different personalities, and I want to make sure that everyone's personality has a voice and does not, and that no one feels bad at all, no matter whether they're a strong-willed person or more of a quieter person. But there are just certain people, what talent, it could be talent, it could be not talent, who just come in with, I'm awesome and you can't tell me differently. And I could be doing nothing and sitting down, I'm still awesome. I could be making art, I could be awesome. I could be not making art, I'm still awesome. It's really personality driven. A lot of directors can be a little like, I've been lucky that the directors I've been working with have all been super lovely. I know people who've worked with other directors who are like, they've yelled on set and they've been mean to people, they've been indecisive, and they're mean for no reason. It's not their first project. They've been doing it for like 10, 20 years. So
And
it's,
a lot of those
you know,
directors, though, they find themselves doing that. And they find themselves looking for projects afterwards because,
yeah,
or a crew look afterwards because nobody wants to work with them. I
yes,
mean,
that is very true. This is a
yeah,
small
why am I
business.
going to go? Yeah,
It really is a small business. Like I've been on
it
sets
really.
where it's not even 6 degrees of separation. It's like 2 degrees of separation. You're just talking to somebody, and then you're like, "Oh my God, you know that person? I know that person
Yeah.
too." And it's just, and you're like, "Oh my God, have we never met?" I was working on a feature film called Galaxy 4, and the production designer, actually a bunch of people on the set, they were talking about this movie, and I was like, I vaguely know of this movie. I don't know, why does the name sound familiar? Why does the name sound familiar? And then I saw the poster. And when I saw the poster, I like sharply turned to the production designer and I went, "Were you on this movie? Like this movie? Did this premiere at Garden State at the Cranford Theater like roughly 3 years ago?" And he was like, "Yeah, it did." I went, "Were you up front doing a doc, like doing an interview?" And he was like, "Yeah." I went, "I was in the theater. My film came before your movie." He was like, "What?" I said, "I think we met 3 years ago, but just in passing as like, oh my God, I love your movie. Oh my God, I love your movie. Hey, we should stay in touch." And then we never did. But then we ran into then we'd been working together, no lie, 3 weeks before I realized that I had seen his movie and he'd seen my movie like 3 years prior to that. And it's just like, it's so weird.
That's interesting you mentioned that. And I about let's get let's talk and then you never did. Now
Yeah.
I've noticed that with actors that like a lot of interviews you always hear especially the bigger movies you always hear them talk about, well, it was like a family. Oh
Yeah.
my God, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that, right?
Yep.
I remember the first person I ever talked to doing this a long time ago, and her name was Kim Poirier. And I
Hmm.
remember asking Kim, I saying, because I asked her about this, is because we're talking about the movie that she in. She did a movie called Decoys.
Hmm.
Great movie, by the way, very underrated. Um, and she did a movie called Decoys, and I said, what was it like afterwards? I mean, do you guys, when you guys have a rap party, do you guys just go around and exchange phone numbers and stuff? Sort of like it almost seemed like high school with a letter
Yeah.
book, the letter,
Hmm.
like
Hmm. Hmm.
and a yearbook. And I said, do you do that? And she goes, no, not really. I just, I mean, I think I had one or two phone numbers in,
Hmm.
but no, I mean, when you guys, because when we leave, whenever it goes their way, they're going from a family
Yeah.
basically to
Another family.
compet to competitors because
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
they're going to be back there auditioning for the same parts going they're going to
Hmm.
be doing that. And
Hmm.
but is that like that for behind the scenes as
It
well?
is. It is. It really is. I always called it summer camp, especially when you're working with people for a long period of time, over weeks or months or even years. There's actually Lenny who jumped on. I did a film with him, Love Lives On. It's going in the festival circuit right now. He was the director for it, but we did it over weekends. And because of people's schedules and all of that, we did it over 2.5 years. So it's 2.5 years where we're seeing all the actors and crew. And I call it summer camp because you just try to stay friends, you know, distance, but you don't exchange phone numbers. You exchange like Instagram handles. But where are you on Instagram? You on Facebook? You on TikTok? Let me follow you there. Let me follow you there. And you're close. You're so close because it's so contained, and you're on top of each other for so long. But then when wrap's over, last day, have a wrap party, everyone goes away. And you stay in touch kind of, but everyone's busy. Everyone's trying to go for the next job. Everyone's going to, going up and down, Jersey, they're going to New York, they're going to Pennsylvania, going to Delaware. We're just, vagabonds pretty much, and just kind of, and then we stumble upon each other on set, like, oh my God, I didn't know you were on set. Oh my God, that's so great. It's good to see you again. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That seems that just seems so weird though, right? Like, wow, how come you didn't call me and say hi? My birthday was 2 weeks ago, but you didn't, like,
no, yeah.
Oh well, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just wondering about that, like, because the competition for, in a way, actors, they could have 30 roles.
Mm-hmm.
But there's only one cinematographer, there's only one editor, in a well-run movie. So the competition must be absolutely fierce.
It can be. It can be. That's why,
have you taken a job?
Go ahead,
Has that happened has that happened to you? Where you've had a job and someone came in and you thought you had a job, came in at the last minute and took it away? And has that happened for you, where you took it away from somebody else that maybe was in the whole slot for it?
All right. So the latter, that's happened to me in the latter. So it's never happened to me. I've never had somebody, like, I've never been on, like, crewed up for a position and then somebody gone like, hey, so sorry, we're switching you out for somebody else. It's never happened to me. And if it has, it's been a good lie. I've never found out, but which is okay. I get the business. I understand. It's a very competitive. It's very, even if it were to happen to me, or if it did, it's very competitive. I get it. I don't have any ego or stake into, I mean, I do have a stake in my livelihood, but it's all good. And, but I just don't, I try not to hold a grudge for it. But I have had it on the reverse side, where that latter part, where I have found out later that somebody else was attached as an editor, or someone else was attached as an assistant director. And then because of reasons, they've decided to reshuffle that position, and I've jumped in. And I found out, later on. I've not found out on that day. I just go there like, oh, we're needed this month, and then I find out. And that's all. And I try, and when I find out, I feel awful. I do. I feel awful. I never want anyone to feel like I was like, I pushed them out of a job, that I ran for something that I never want anyone to feel that way. So whenever I find that out, I normally, call the person if I know them, or if they're on set, I talk to them. I make jokes about it, and I've been like, hey, whatever. I try to soften the blow as much as possible, because if that would happen to me, I would want that to happen. I would want somebody to do the same to me. I try to push forward, how I would want to be treated by somebody else. And it's awkward. It's an awkward position when you find out that somebody else was attached to being an editor, and then you took their job, and then you see them.
And you can't really do the complete cavalier move by,
no,
I'll step aside and let you have it, because it's a job.
It's a job.
You can't do that. Yeah.
No, it's a job. And like I said, I found out from it later on. Like, there was one project, I won't say the name of it. There was one project where the film was edited and they didn't like the edit. And so they came to me to edit it. And so I re-edited the whole film. And I had to have the conversation with the producer about it. And I said, is the other editor okay with me going through the whole thing and redoing everything? They're like, oh yeah, it's totally fine. And I actually met the other editor who was attached to it and talked to them, and they were totally cool with it. And it was like more of a time schedule issue, and like going back and forth with notes. So it ended up not being an issue. But when I found that out, I was like, and I knew the other person too. And so I knew them, for years. And so that's like, it gets awkward, but I try not to make it awkward, and I try to make it as easy as it is. And you're right, there are only so many jobs that people can go for, and there are so many people who want to be those jobs. So like I said, I try to be the person that I would want if I was in that position. That's what I try to do.
When we watch over a TV show or a movie or what have you, and we see the credit rolls up and it says editor and it says editors, is that basically just code for, like, yeah, the first one didn't work out, so we brought in the bullpen?
So that it depends again, because there some terms can be a little like switcheroo, like you can have like a little slip and slide going on. But yes, if there's editors involved, it's normally because someone did an initial cut, wasn't happy with it, or had to leave the project for a reason. Like there might have been family or health or whatever. There could be a reason why that first editor can't continue on. And so then somebody else is brought in or another person's brought in. If you see like more than three, then it's more of a, there's been some upsets with the edits. Now, with also saying that, there's also been assistant editors who've come in and done like an initial rough cut of everything, just like boom, 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 boom. And they've done a heavy lifting, and they deserve to be credited not as an assistant editor, but as an additional editor. Like there have been like first editors and second editors. There's another project that I did. Again, I was brought in because they had a finished film, but they wanted to re-edit the movie. And I said, even though my edit is the final edit and is the one that's out in festivals and going out into the world, I still wanted that first editor to have first credit, and I put myself down as assistant editor because it was their work that I was going off of. And even though I did a bunch of recuts and like smoothing things out, even though I came in at the second, it's still their work. I want to be respectful for other people's work. I don't want to take anybody's job. I don't want any hard feelings for stuff. I want this is a business that's social. This is a business that is personal, and you want to have friends in this business who are there, like who can like talk to you and like, hey, I know this person because they're cool. You should have them on their set. And I want that to happen from I do that for others, and I would want them to do that for me. And that's just my own personal sensibilities and honor, if that makes sense.
Um, do terms like editor and assistant editor, does that does that affect your pay rate? I mean, if he said
Yeah.
I'm an editor, but I'm gonna go ahead and be assistant editor and let her have the editing. Does that affect pay rate for that?
It
Because
can,
you're now.
yes. It does.
Oh,
It does affect it too. I'm editing a feature film called Brick City right now that has a couple people from The Sopranos on it, and I have an assistant editor who is a godsend. Bobby Devine, he's amazing. He's been a fantastic assistant editor. He's done a lot of what I would say is the hard work. If the hard work is syncing all the footage, making sure all the footage is there, giving me notes on certain takes, being there like, hey, I can't find something, can you look for me? And he goes in and does all the time consuming stuff, not the creative stuff, but the time consuming things. And even though he's an assistant editor, and so you're like, oh, there's a two-tier thing, he does some of the hardest work. Like I might be the more like the creative one, but I look at him, and you have a great assistant editor. You're like, oh my gosh, where have you been all my life? You're fantastic. I just have to work creatively and not have to do all this other stuff to it. But yeah, there is a pay rate, there is a pay grade. And if you're looking to be an editor one day, you start as an assistant editor. I started as an assistant editor,
sure.
And that's just doing the minutia. That's just doing all the unfun things in editing.
You gotta prove yourself. I wouldn't
Exactly.
expect. Yeah, I wouldn't expect someone with 1 to 5 credits underneath their belt to walk up there and get full credit like that.
Yeah.
We're gonna put you in charge of a feature film. I
Yeah.
wouldn't expect that. I expect that I want someone a little bit more seasoned, a little more
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
Now with Bold Media Films, you are the cinematographer and the chief editor. So
Well, my partner William Willis is the true cinematographer. He allows me to do cinematography work periodically. I consider myself as mainly the editor, and we're both co-owners, even though I'm technically like I'm 2% more. Because it was important to both of us to have a woman-owned company, and so we wanted to be a woman-owned company, but we both call each other co-owners for it. And he is very generous in giving me a lot of say in cinematography because he and I have been working together for about 8 years now. And
what did he do before this? So was he
he's
also
always a cinematographer. He's been doing independent work for about 20 plus years at this point. And then he's also a stunt coordinator as well. And then, daytime job before he fully went into filmmaking as his full time, he worked in IT. So it's perfect because if I have an issue with my computer, I'm just going here. IT dude, fix this for me. Fix this for
So
me.
he's also a stunt coordinator. Did he do
Yeah.
the stunts for City of Honor?
He actually, Jose Torres was the one who did stunt coordinating. Now William, my
He did a
partner, now
great job.
he helped in some aspects, because there were some things that we tried to do and it just didn't look good on camera. It just didn't look good. So he would step in to be like, no, you have to do it like this. But for Silent Steel, he was the stunt coordinator for. There's another film that we did, Retaliation, he was the stunt coordinator for. Galaxy 4 has some stunts into there with non fighters or stunt fighters. He was a stunt coordinator for that as well. So he's been in martial arts for like 30 years, and I've been in martial arts for about 15. So that's one of the things that we talked about, like when we started kind of working together.
I take it you probably both do Tai Chi.
Well, I have. He's like Ishinryu, Japanese martial arts, and I'm more Korean martial arts. So I did Taekwondo and Tai Chi and a couple other things, and Qigong and everything, all that jazz.
Leandro Duarte is here and says that you're just the best.
She was in City of Honor. She's the mother in City of the little girl, Amanda Duarte,
Right.
who is in City of Honor.
Yes, her character was sadly killed off.
That's Mia is the daughter. Maria is the mother who gets killed off in City of Honor.
Is this Maria here, or is this Mia?
That's Mia's mother, her actual mother in real life.
Oh! I guess she didn't get killed off.
No, she hasn't got killed off. She doesn't get killed. She's a lovely woman.
Yes. Oh well, that's a good thing to know. See, insider information.
Yes.
Glad you're still with us. But she says, but that also tells me too that by her saying that, I think what she means by that is you're also a great person on set to her daughters on set, and you looked out for her.
Yes.
And yes, so that's exactly where that's coming from. Yep.
I
may be hard of seeing, but I'm not totally blind.
No.
So that's off. What is it like? What is it like to work on a set with someone like Mia? Work, small, especially especially as far as when you do pick up like assistant director or a second unit. What's it like to work with a child?
Cool.
What are some of the tricks that you use to help them out in case they struggle a little bit?
Totally. So I use it. I was a teacher for 8 years. So I worked with 5th through 12th graders. So I worked with kids for a long period of time, and I worked with them in filmmaking. So it was post-production work, pre-production work, distribution, acting, directing, all that stuff. So I have a little bit of a cheat because I've worked with kids for a long period of time. And so when I'm working with a kid on set, I try to be I don't baby a kid, because how I am with adults, I'm just a little bit softer with kids. And I want them to feel comfortable on set. I make sure the parents are comfortable on set with the kids, with what we're doing. When you're working with the kid, you have to have no matter what age they are, the attention spans are only a certain length. You cannot work a child the same way you can work an adult. Hey, you have to keep doing this. You can't be mean to them. You can't be doing things that you would, like just being cavalier with a kid on set. This is make believe, and then they're like, we're in a make believe kind of in a creative field, and people take it very seriously, but kids should have fun on set. And so I'm somebody who wants to make sure that the kid and the parents are having a good time on set, and that they're liking what they're doing, and that this is just pretend, and like, if you're going to be crying, if you're going to be emotional, if you're going to be telling a joke. One of the things on City of Honor, on the first day, not the first day, but on one of the first days that I worked with Amanda Duarte, Jose Torres, who plays Dante, in real life, he has 3 boys. So he, in this scene, his character has only a daughter. So he comes home And in the episode, he comes home and gives her this loving hug and asks how she was, with her aunt. The first take that we did, he comes over and gives her a bro hug. It was like, "Yo, how you doing?" I'm like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" And
Time out.
time out. I was like, "Time out." No, we don't. We're not bro
Bro,
hugging. Yeah, no,
no
we're not
bro
bro
hug.
hugging. No, we're not doing
No,
bro hugs. No,
no, and you
I was
can't call her bro either.
no, no, you can't call it bro. And so I was, and so I'm the youngest of three, and my dad's only had girls. So I went up to Jose and I was like, "Do you have any daughters?" He went, "No." "Do you have any sisters?" "No." "Do you have any cousins that are younger than you?" He went, "No, no, no, no." I'm like, "Okay." So I said, fathers that have daughters are very loving. They think they're
Mhm,
cute. They think the girls are cute. They want to hug them. They want to kiss them. My dad,
mhm.
I'm 34 years old. My dad still hugs me and still kisses me and still thinks I'm cute. So it's just you're a girl dad. That's just what it is. And so I turned to Amanda and I said, "When your dad comes home, what does your dad do?" And she was like, "He hugs me and kisses me all the time." And the dad was like, "Yep, that is correct." And so that that opened up that opened up the awkwardness of being emotional with not a stranger but somebody that you don't know that well, and just kind of like putting
Right.
laughs onto the set. And I'm asking her opinion. What would you do in this moment? What do you think? What have you experienced at this time, just to just lighten the set for a kid to be on? I mean, she is 13 going on 30. I mean, she's extraordinarily mature. So it was a very easy thing to work with her. But working with kids, it's just making sure that they're having fun, bringing them into the conversation, and just making it fun for them. And that's kind of my time on set, is I want to have fun while making something awesome, with whether it's adult or whether with a kid. So I try to keep that kind of going on set, no matter the age.
For this one I get right, I promise you. One of the actresses on City of Honor just walked in, Danielle Harper, just walked
Danielle.
in, and Daryn is amazing. Everyone should have the opportunity to work with Bold Media. That
Oh,
is very cool. That's a ringing endorsement.
thank you very
And
much.
yes, I will be putting a link to the City of Honor down in the description box below, so you guys can go over to Tubi and watch it.
Thank you.
And then you can come back tomorrow and read my words about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I reviewed it, but I don't
Oh,
post
thank
reviews
you.
until yeah, I don't do reviews until I talk to people. Um, just just something to us future journalists should watch out for. It's always better to try to get the interview first, so because it really
Mhm.
does help out when you do reviewing.
Mhm.
I found out that it's better to talk to the talent first, the crew, cast and crew first, because then you can see what they went through.
That's
Um,
really cool. That's really nice to do. That's a very interesting way. I don't know many people who do that, who review like that. That's very cool.
yeah, it just gives a lot of times you see someone just review a movie, and they're just out there just chopping at the ribbons, and it's like you don't know what they went through to make it. Um,
Mhm.
and sometimes it can be there's a lot more to the story than what you think.
Mhm.
So sometimes just try to. Some movies are just bad. There's nothing you can
Yeah.
do about it. Just you can sit there and talk to every single cast and crew member. It's not going to save the movie. That does
Yeah.
happen, but I just
Yeah.
feel like it's better just to talk to the talent first to get their side of things. I'm really enjoying this. I hope you're having fun.
I am very much so. Thank you so very much for having me on. This has been awesome.
So okay, I want to talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit more about. I mean, I really enjoyed looking at your resume. I was sitting
Oh,
here
thank you.
looking at it. Editor, cinematographer, camera and electrical department,
Mhm.
sound department,
Mhm.
second unit or assistant director, additional crew, script and continuity department. Now, I've heard a script and a continuity. I've heard that is actually probably one of the three top jobs on
Yeah.
a film after
Yeah.
director and editor. So,
Yeah.
what does a script and continuity person do, and why is it so important?
Oh, totally. I mean, having a great scripty on set is fantastic. A script supervisor, it's somebody that is reading the script while the actors are going. So they know the script just as well as an actor does. They're taking photos on set. They're making sure that things are being reset between takes. So if there's a glass of water that's a certain height, or, they're making sure that glasses are being put back into place the same way, pens are going, props are staying in the same area. They're also somebody that helps with the continuity of camera. So where is the 180 line? So depending on what kind of angle that you're filming in, if we're going to jump the 180, we're going to fly over to here. Well, script supervisor would also be like, hey, like, you can't do that unless you add something else, because how are you going to cut this in editing? I've done script supervising work to being helpful with props, making sure they go back to place, with actors with lines. I read with them. I'm reading during it. I'm making notes of lines being changed. So if there's a word that they just keep stumbling over, it goes into like, hey, do you want to change that? And then if you need to change it, I'll go talk to the director and make sure that that's now noted, like it's being changed on set, that it's going from the to if or whatever, or the phrasing gets changed. I make notes. I have a notepad. I have the script with me, normally on a binder, on an iPad, and I'm going through it, and I have notes, and I'm like putting down takes that are good, that are bad. This happened at this moment. I'm making camera notations too, from white balance to lens change to T-stops to like the director said this was good, but I noticed this, or the slate changed at some point. Like, I'm making notes for the editor. So I'm doing things for the production and for the editor to make sure that when it comes down to the footage, because you can have hundreds of hours, especially on a feature film, hundreds of hours of footage to go through, and you're handing it to somebody who's not been on set. They have no clue what's going on. So I make it my job to make sure that there's a lot of notes so that people can review stuff and make sure everything's in place. If there's a slate that goes from like 17, like scene 17M, but then for some reason it goes to 17W the next scene, I'll make notes of like, oh, we're going to pick this up on a different day, so these letters are going at a different point, or because we went out of order, we actually changed shots that were going to happen. So don't worry if you don't see these numbers, these letters. It's great for actors, to help with actors on the day, to know the script and be there ready to go for lines. It's helpful for the camera department to make sure that they're not doing something like, because in the moment you're like, I'm just trying to get the shot. I need to get this shot. And like, whoa, we have to think about this, that, and the other thing. And then it's also for post-production and production for the producing crew, so that they can see what's going on set.
Do cinematographers, do they actually forget? Like if I'm filming a shot and I'm filming it, okay, and then it's okay, wrap, moved on to the next one, and then the next day you come back and okay, we're gonna redo the shot again. The camera people actually forget what they did. You used a different lens on this one. I noticed that you used a different lens. Oh shoot, maybe they're setting it for the next shot. They put the new lens on.
Yeah.
But then oh wow, that is so interesting.
I wouldn't say forget. I would say more slips your mind. There's 1,000 things that are going on set at the same time. People are talking, especially if you're a DP. You're talking to the director, you're talking to the producer, you're talking to the actor, you're talking to the lighting department, where the lights are going, what's happening here, oh, that's soft and that. I mean, there's 1,000 people coming at the camera department, at the DP. So yeah, they're like, the assistant camera operator is the one who's helping to change the lenses, who should be also on track of like what T-stop that we're using, what white balance that we're using. It's like a bunch of checks and balances. There's always somebody that should be like checking the other person's job, not because you think the other person does their job badly, but you're just making sure there's a continuity of the look of the film. So there have been jumps and starts where like, oh, we're done, we're going to switch now over to here. You take the lens off, you're switching over, and then something happens where they're like, oh, you know what, we reviewed the footage, let's go back and redo that take. Oh, what lens did I have? Because I don't remember what lens did I use. What T-stop was I on? I don't remember. What was the angle of this again? Because you're already jumping ahead, and it takes a second to go backwards. So I don't call it forget. I call it more of like, there's so many things that are going on, and it's just good to have other people behind you who's dedicated, that's their job to know what those are, so that they can be like, you do this, you do this, you do this. Great. Now I can do my job, and I can do my job well.
So that's what when we see, because sometimes they'll show behind the scene, So the person we see with this badass notebook,
Yes.
that's the continuity person.
Yes, that there's two people with a big ass notebook, and that's the assistant director, and then that's the script supervisor. And both people have two separate jobs that they're working on when it comes down to like who's doing what. Like assistant director, that one person. Like when I do it, I'm going from one department. I'm doing like a giant loop of circles. I'm going from one department to the next department to the next department. Hey, how are you doing? What do you need? Hey, how are you doing? What you need? Hey, how are you doing? What you need? Hey, and then start it again. Hey, how are you doing? What? And
That
when I'm doing AD, I'm making sure like how much time do you need? Because we need to start at this time. I can give you this amount of time. Hey, we're jumping from this scene to this scene. Do you need line reads at this point? So I'm just making sure that everyone's moving and everyone's knowing what's happening. And then script supervising, you're the ones who's reading the lines. You're the ones who's making sure continuity. You're making sure that the props, like the production department, the production
I think
design, they're doing the props too. But it's everyone's just helping everybody, and they have their own job where they're focusing
I
on.
think that's probably the one thing I think most of us, people who go to the movies, that's probably the one thing we don't think about it. Because sometimes I look at it like, how do they do that? When do they do
Yeah,
that? But one of the things I think is the props. You're right. I mean, it's like I remember watching the first episode of Scrubs, and they had
yeah,
commentary, and Bill Lawrence is sitting back there. He's
yeah,
just slicing and dicing himself. He's
yeah,
going like, and you can see all the continuity errors, and he's sitting there going like that. Whoever the director was, I should fire him because it was
yeah,
him.
yeah. Well,
But
I
he's sitting there.
always,
It was interesting because I never seen it because unless he would have said something, I would have never saw it.
yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
then he starts. Well, look at this, look at that, and all of a sudden you start noticing it, and all of a
yeah.
sudden it's like, oh man, yeah,
Well,
that
it
must
also
be.
goes into food props too. Like I've warned actors heavily. If there's food on set, I said take small bites because it's not going to be done in one or two takes. We're going to be here all day. It could easily be 10 to 30 to 10 to 20 to 30 takes of you eating this pizza. And every time you have to have a new slice of pizza. So if you're in the scene and you take 3 bites or you finish a slice, well, guess what? You have to do that exact same thing in every other take that we see you in. And so there have been actors, I've heard horror stories of actors who like, oh my God, I
Got
love
sick.
pizza. And then they're
Yeah.
just sick. They just can't stand that. So they have a bucket off to the side and they take a bite and spit it out as soon as possible. So I always warn actors like, hey, if you're going to eat, take small bites and be prepared for this to be a long time. Slow chewing just to help yourself because you're going to hate it
Yeah.
afterwards. And you have to keep doing
Uh,
the same thing over and over again.
have you seen anybody? Have you seen anybody get sick like that?
I have not seen someone who needed to be like, throw up or like spit into it, but I have seen like by like the end of day, they're like, I'm never eating this ever again. Like I'm never eating this
Hey, let's
ever
go.
again. I'm like, yeah,
Okay, we wrapped. We're gonna wrap up. We're gonna have special. We're getting pizza tonight, guys, for the
yeah,
crew. Oh
yeah.
hell no!
No, I will be eating something else. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
uh, what has been some? Tell me your three biggest challenges that you've had as an editor, um, and then I want to get into editor director relations. But what are three of the movies that you're most proud of the editing job that you've done on it? Because I think you're also right. A good editor can save a movie. It
Yeah,
really can. A
yeah.
good editor and a good composer can save a movie.
Yes,
A
music
bad
can
movie.
be, yeah, yes, yes, very much so. So the first one that comes to mind that I'm very proud of is a film called Bound by Bushwick, and it's a biography drama. And that one was a situation where somebody had to leave during the filming, and that one was dealing with a high end camera. That was dealing with very high end footage and trying to make my computer work for it. That one was like a 30-minute film that I did. I'm very proud of that movie. There's another film that I did called The Last Musician, and The Last Musician was the first time I had ever worked with 6K footage. And that one was a fantastic, that one we edited over, I think, 3 or 4 months for a short film. And that was also a 30-minute short film that we did. And then my third one that I'm most proud of is trying to think. The third one is probably Hard Feelings. Is a short film that we did called Hard Feelings, and that one was three people in a diner, and it's a drama. And that one had dealing with reflection issues. That one I'm proud of being like the crew for that was fantastic, and trying to make sure that there are no reflections that were being put into that. So those are my three that I'm very proud of as an editor to have been a part of. So Bound by Bushwick, yeah, the Hard Feelings, and The Last Musician.
Do you think that in the new age of filmmaking as it is, do you think the films get hurt by rush shooting schedules? Because,
Yes,
yeah, thank you
yes,
for that. I'm
just
a
yes,
hundred percent with you. I've
yes,
seen people over and over and over, like, like saying how they shot this in 6 days or shot this in 7 days. And you really want to sit there and say, and it shows, it
yeah,
really does.
it does.
You're out there, you're making you're supposed to be out there making this big dramatic scene, and then, end of the world scene, and yet, behind you, there's traffic, normal traffic, from,
Yeah,
because your camera caught it. And it's like, well, we couldn't do anything about that because we were making the movie in 12 days.
yes,
Instead of 20
yes,
days and finding a quiet street, it was just like, okay, it's almost like they knew they didn't have a location scout. It's just,
yes,
okay, let's set it up and we'll do it right here. And it's like, yeah, you're throwing your whole movie off because you're supposed to be isolated and everything else. And yet, like, behind you, I can see the damn freeway.
yeah. That
It made,
it you can do a film in a day or two, but you have to just do it smartly. You have to recognize what you have access to, and you have to be realistic on how long things take. And that's the hardest thing that I think people who don't know how setting up lights and camera, because they just have no interest in it. I don't expect anybody to have all that knowledge for stuff, but that's where an assistant director comes in, especially if you are somebody who does a lot of filming, is you can then start anticipating how long something is going to take. It's going to be a 2-hour setup. It's going to be an hour setup. It's going to be a 3-hour setup. It's going to take this amount of time to get from here to here. The take is going to be 7 minutes long. It has to be reviewed. Well, that's 14 minutes right there. We're doing 3 takes, and it's going to be an hour before you know it. So if you're somebody who's like, I'm going to make a short film in a 5-page short film, but you look at it realistically and you want it to be good, and you do something and you do a shoot that's like 8 shots, it can be an amazing film that's done 8 shots, but you just have to be smart about it. But if you're somebody who's like, I want 30 shots done in 5 hours, you're just going to have a rush job on your hand. It's just going to be
right,
a mesh of whatever. You know, and handheld is considered like, like, oh, it won't take that much time to set because it'd be handheld. I am very much on the side of like, you have to be a talented person to do handheld correctly, because it's just too much shaky cam. It's too much first person point of view. Stuff gets out of focus that should be, and it doesn't take all that much more time to just set up a gear, a tripod, a gimbal, a Dana dolly, something that you have more stability over. That nothing's easy in filmmaking. If you want it to look good, you should spend time in it. It's like a painting, it's like a drawing. It's not done in 2 seconds. There are people who can do that, and they're very, very, very talented. Like Bob Ross, he can make a whole painting in a half an hour, and it looks like you could put it in a museum. But he was a master painter. You
right.
would have to be a master filmmaker to be able to do that. And really, when you're making films, the devil's in the details. And if you can make that, your film's going to be amazing. Yeah, but a lot of people want to rush it because they just don't have the money, they don't have the time, and they just don't know how long
Right.
it takes.
I mean, so how does let's just say you get a filmmaker like that. Maybe it's his first or second film, and
Hmm.
he's rushing it. He says, instead of a 14-day shoot, he wants to do it in 9.
Yeah.
As an editor, do you have any say at all in advising him, like, listen, I've seen, I've seen your storyboards. I've seen, seen your the way the story's unfolding. Is it, can we do the can is it okay with you if we stretch it out, 12 days to give you and me a much better chance to make this movie look really nice? Or
No,
is it, is that
no,
part of no?
no. Editors don't really get a say in anything that happens on set. So I'm just handed the footage. I'm just handed and told what like here, this is what you have, and then you have to work with it. Good, bad, or indifferent. This is just what you have to work with. As an assistant director, sorry, I I can give people can ask my opinion, and I'll happily give my opinion. But in essence, it does not come down to me as the decision maker. Even if I were to strongly recommend, and I always say too, I have a strong recommendation, but you don't have, but you do whatever you think is best. What do what you feel is best, and I will try to make it work. And so, it's just it's part of working with other people and knowing your place where it comes down to being on the set. If you're not a producer, if you're not a director, you really don't have a say in what occurs. You just kind of have to try to make it work as much as possible.
Who has the ultimate say between to an editor? I mean, let's say that you're editing a film that that director A is, it's his movie, but there's producer A on the other side, and they both come to you with different things. Like,
Hmm.
I like this to be featured, or I like this
Hmm.
to be featured. Who has the final say in what you do and how you cut?
Oh, that's a great question. So it depends. Well, that's a great question because I have had differing notes. So from people, and in essence, it comes down to having an awkward conversation with producers and going, who gets final say. I can try both notes, and I and but if they're contradicting each other, I can't make two separate edits. So I can't make these things, like these two contradicting notes, work with each other. As an editor, I try to find, I talk to the director, I talk to the producers. Sometimes I've worked with sets where it's only the director that I've talked to. There have been sets where I've only worked with the producer. I've never met the director. The director didn't get a say in the edit. So it comes down to, I guess, the money man. I guess that's the best way to put it. Who's my paycheck? Who am I getting my paycheck from? That's who I'm going to be going towards.
Ah,
And
is that right or wrong?
I mean, and I've worked with producers who have, like, producing partners who have been amazing, who've had contradicting notes, but then they talk to each other, and then they hash it out within each other, and then they come to me as a unit, which I love. That's great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fantastic. Um, when I'm editing something, I do weekly reports. I put down, like, how long I've been working on, like, the days I've been working, how long I've been working, what scenes I've been working on, what issues I've been running into, what issues that I can see running into, sound problems. I make detailed notes so that people can see what I'm doing, so that I that people just go like, "Oh, could you hold it for a second longer?" Or, "Hey, could you do X, Y, and Z?" And I would have to go, "Well, you don't have that footage," or, "No, I can't because it ended with cut." "No, I can't go to that take because it goes out of focus." So I make sure that when I'm talking to somebody over email, over the phone, I'm giving very, very, very detailed stuff. But when it comes down to who gets final say, I can't say what's right or wrong with that. It's just like, how do people work with each other? And it's just trying to make it be a nice working environment. It's
Right.
almost like being a part of a bunch of different companies, and you're getting different managers every couple of months, and you just have to work with that different manager and how that
Yeah.
person works.
That's interesting you say that, because one of the things I notice, like, whenever I watch independent films, before, if you go to a theater, it's like Universal or Paramount,
Mhm.
or just the one name. But when you get
Mhm.
home release, it's like there's like eight or nine different
Yeah.
companies listed.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, like if Bold Media Films is listed on there,
Mhm.
where does it, where how does that play out? How do you get involved in a movie like that where they have all these different production companies? but who gets the action? Who's doing the cinematography? Who's responsible for the editing? Who's responsible
Hmm.
for the composer? You have eight
Hmm.
different production companies with all in-house people. So
Yeah.
who gets the lion's share of that? How is that determined?
So there's always a number one production company that goes into it. Like there's always a number one. So that's the person who then hires different people from different production companies. So my production company is attached to Galaxy 4 and Love Lives On. And it's not because we put in like producing ability. Why we got put into our logos put into it and we're in association with is because we would go above and beyond. It would be with Love Lives On, we helped with the lighting, with the cinematography, with helping with set designing, helping with positioning, and we're just doing things to help the day move on. And Lenny Gata, who is the director for it, was generous enough to go, you guys put in a lot of work. I want you to have a production credit to it. I want your production to go into it. Same with Galaxy 4. Galaxy 4, even though I was a assistant director and my partner William Willis, he was gaffer. We did a couple other things on the side. We helped with stuff. And then they were generous as like we want to have it be in association with. And that's happened with a couple other
Cool.
projects. With another project called Major Problems. Again, I was the AD for it. My partner William was cinematographer. But we helped with going to the locations and we helped with maybe a little like with a bunch of things. And it's just and it's like you guys did stuff more than you had to do. Like we had our job and we could have stayed within our job. And not to say that it's not, it's like people stay within their job, that's totally cool, but we would go outside of it a little bit more. And so
Right.
that was more
Right.
of like a generous thing. So when you have like a bunch of different like production companies in it, it could be people who have given money, it could be people who have donated their time, it could be people who have helped with locations. It's just it can be a partnership of like a monetary partnership thing, and it could also just be like, hey, you helped make this film happen. We could not have done it without you. So we want to also put you down as in association within the production, as this company as associated with us. So that's where, that can be, especially in independent circles, that happens a lot.
That's yeah. I always wondered about that. I'm watching this movie called Save the Date, and
Mm.
I'm sitting there and I'm watching like the 4 or 5 different production companies, and I'm like, how does that work? How do they like
Mhm.
do they each get a shot at it? Or, I just didn't know. It's just one of
Mhm.
those weird things you see because you don't see it on the theater. It's
Yeah.
always just the main studio and that's it. But
Mhm.
home release, all
Mhm.
of a sudden it's like 10 different companies. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, why? Okay. Um,
Yeah.
Now I guess the last section we'll go into that we'll talk a little bit about because I know this is important. We mentioned it briefly, and we want to see what your role is there. So not only do you work with the director and the producers, but we mentioned about working with the composers. So
Yes.
how does that work as far as how does that go in terms of how does that affect your editing?
Mm.
Do either one of you? I mean, I would think of all the collaborations, that one probably be the one that an editor would work with the most would be a composer almost.
It's funny you
You
say
know,
that because I almost have no speaking with the composer. I actually
really.
have, I really don't. In my post position, again, it depends on how everybody works. Everyone works differently. I work the way that I feel is best for productivity. So as an editor, I finish the film. So I get into picture lock and once it's in picture lock, when my producers, directors, whoever is my immediate boss goes, the film is done. It's now moving on to the next department. That can be coloring, that could be the colorist, that's the sound engineer, and that's the composer. And my job then is to assist them in what files do they need. I can send you an AFF file. I can send you the film in whatever resolution that you need. They might have questions for me of how I edit it, like what software I'm using, we're just doing like very like technical kind of conversations. But I have no say when it comes to like when there should be a stinger, when their music should rise here and shouldn't rise. Now, when it comes to those types of conversation, like where music goes or where it should go, I have conversations with either the director or the producer of, is there going to be music underneath this? Is there going to be something that's going to like build at this point, because I can edit it so that it makes the composer job a little easier. Maybe that's not the right word, but it gives them like gaps, not speaking gaps, but just like thematic or artistic gaps where they can see, oh, music goes under here, music goes under there, or there's going to be some sort of special sound effect that happens here or there. I'm on this Brick City that I'm working on, the feature film Brick City. I make the producer, the director, the producers and the directors I'm working with both, who've been fantastic to be working with. I make little notes of like, sound effects, stingers, phone rings, phone, the voice from is coming from the phone, or the voice should sound different. So I'm making visual notes for the sound editor so that they know, oh, there's supposed to be a sound effect that goes here. Oh, they want this and that to go here. I'm just helping. But I have no say when it comes to where or what any of it sounds like. I just try to be an assistant then to them.
So once you edit the film, you pass it on to the sound department. They look at it, and then they look at your edit, and then they try to fit their sounds to fit your edit.
Yeah,
And
they
then
create it
afterwards,
from scratch. They create it from scratch. They might have a library of things, and then just start like tweaking. They go on their own editing journey from there. And then when they're done, they then send me the audio file, and then I connect everything together. And I do a final, like just a very, very final. I don't touch their audio. That's not my position. But I just do a final, like make sure it all syncs, everything's sounding right, everything looks right, and then I send it off as for final review. But yeah, I have no say in that department. That's all with the producer and the director.
what 3 movies have you done are you most proud of? Be short film, be TV, be feature. What 3 are like, if you were gonna show a reel with your work, what 3 movies would you use to put on your reel?
So the first one that I'm going to say is The Strange Dark. So The Strange Dark, I put in the very top. This one has gone to like 20 plus different film festivals in the United States and around the world, and they've been hitting like the top like 1% of festivals, and it's been winning like best ensemble, best director, best screenwriting, best screenplay, and I was on the electrical team for that. So that one, I was working underneath a professional gaffer and a professional, like a super high, like these are the guys that worked on Fallout. So I was working with people that were the crew for Fallout, the first season of Fallout. And they were amazing.
Wow.
And they taught me so much because I was a swing electrical. So I worked in the camera department. I worked in the electrical department. I worked in the grip department. So I learned tons of stuff for that. And that one, not only does it look amazing, and it's a super awesome fun sci-fi film, and it's just been killing it in the festivals. It also has distribution too, and it's going to be out this December. So that one is my number one. The next one that I'm super happy about, like I'm like just like it just shows my work off the best as a crew member, as a filmmaker, then City of Honor comes second. It's one of the things that both my partner William and I have said is probably the best looking thing that he and I have done. Like we're very proud. We're very proud of how it looks, and we were very hands-on in the production for it. So the look of it is something that we're proud of. And also, total side note on this one, a small little story. We filmed the 4 days in February, and then we finished everything in March. In the first 4 days, I did a rough cut of just the scenes that we have. And looking at the scenes, both my partner and I looked at it and went, I know how to fix this. Or it's okay, but we could do better. And then we made it be better for the next one. And I'm very proud of how we not so much pivoted, but how we could give our own feedback to ourselves and look at it and go, we can make this so much better than what we have already did in these first couple of days. And I think, and in that, I think we did it. So I'm very proud of how that film, how that pilot looks.
How did you and Jose meet? you don't mind
We
me asking.
met. Oh yeah, totally. So my partner William was in contact with him because Jose Torres is making his first film called Killer X, and this was in 2023. He was making it, and then it was premiered in 2024. So we went on one day. We met like on. I was like we PA'd production assistant for like one day for a couple of hours. Met him, very brief. Then we went to the premiere of Killer X, and we wanted to support a local filmmaker. Support local filmmakers, support our community. We're trying to all make it. We're all trying to do something, and we want to be supportive of that. So we went to the premiere, and because of that, Jose was so, I guess, happy and just like appreciative. We had dinner afterwards. Like a couple weeks later, we had dinner, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. Our relationship grew. We consider each other very strong partners now. But yeah, it was over Facebook. We met over Facebook. It's like how I met you. I met you over
Yeah,
Facebook too.
yeah,
So it's just one of those things where Facebook can be like hard as hell to work at times. It feels like nobody's there, but then you can
yeah.
find some really awesome people through it at the same time. And then my third most proud film that I've done. Oh, this one I'm extraordinarily proud of is a project. I'm trying to decide if I want to do an editing project or a production project. I guess I'll do a production project for it. And then I'll do a small, like little side, like editing project. So very proud of a short film that we did called Fire the Valkyries. So that was a true, honest to God test. We decided as a production company, we were going to test our own knowledge on having a film that had two actresses who were not fighters and do a full stunt choreography for them that worked for them. We worked over 6 weeks with them. And then we only did the angles that we chose. We had no alternative angles for. So we were like, it's going to cut from this shot to this shot to this shot to this shot. It was a true test to our own, like, can we do this lighting wise, physical. It was all motion camera motions too. So it was like pulling focus and camera moving left and right, and it was no alternative angle. So it was very hard. It was a very like stark edit. There was no alternatives for it, and it was truly just to see. Even though we are totally on the point of like we should have multiple angles, 3 to 5 angles, just so that you can catch stuff, and just in case it doesn't work, it was a true test. And then that one became viral. That has over 50,000 views on YouTube. And then the person who wrote it, Lawrence Walters, he actually is writing in conjunction with my partner William a feature, because there seems to be some interest into that little short that was like less than 5 minutes long, and people seem to be interested in that. Like, okay, let's try it now as a feature. And then as
Well,
my small little go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
there is something to be said about a couple of like I like it too, to be honest with you. I like it when I see actresses who aren't afraid to do the physical work. There's a lot of them they're just glamour,
Yeah, yeah,
but when you see them roll around the ground, and get bloody and whatnot, man, I just my respect for them and their abilities just grow. I think it's amazing when they're not afraid to do that.
these two.
I think it's just as
Yeah,
daring as being asked to do topless scene. It's like,
yeah,
yeah,
totally.
I do. I think it's like, they can say no to that,
I mean,
easily enough, but not necessarily you can say no to a physical fight. Say, well, I want to
yeah,
get my stunt double in there. Well, we might not have the budget for a stunt double.
yeah,
Are you still going to be able to do this?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Yeah, these two actresses, Tara London and Amanda Torsi, they were both gung ho, and because both my partner William and I are both martial artists, and we've done a lot of fight stuff. We understand about like what's comfortable for you and not. Like he and I have both been put into situations where we've been like the not the stunt coordinator, the stunt double, and we've both gotten hurt because we haven't been heard. Like we would say, we don't feel comfortable doing this. This doesn't feel right. Oh, just keep practicing. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And he and I have both gotten hurt from it. So when we were doing Fire the Valkyries, we're like, we are going to listen to them. They're going to tell us what works and what doesn't. And if stuff doesn't work like how we imagined, we're just going to pivot and we're going to change it and we're still going to make it awesome. We're going to make them look good. That was our thing. We were going to make people who are not fighters look good because we wanted actresses to like pull it off. So that was like a pure thing. And then to go back to what you originally said, Patrick, about like proud, the thing that I'm most proud of editing wise is Down by Bushwick. That movie came out so well, and as an editor, I'm very, very proud of that edit.
Wow. I'm amazed. I could go on. I have more questions, but that just tells me I have to bring you back.
I'd
'Cause
be happy to come back.
we have hit our point. I will turn to the chat and ask if you have any questions for Daryn. You can go ahead and drop them in the chat, and we'll give you a few minutes to do that, a couple minutes to do that. And I'll ask her a couple more questions while you guys send me some questions. So what movies have impressed you? Can you watch movies now as a cinephile, or do you watch them solely as an editor?
No, I watch them as almost like a, this is going to sound weird. I enjoy films. I love movies. I try to watch a movie every day, not more than one. I try to watch TV all the time. I mean, I love filmmaking. Like, me being a filmmaker has not taken away my love of filmmaking, of being just a watcher. But there's a side part to it. I analyze the film. And
Yeah.
I also get deep enjoyment out of doing that. So when I'm looking at lighting cues, or I'm looking at, like, I was just watching Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein earlier today. And I love that movie. I love that movie. I've seen that movie for, like, since I was a kid. I've watched it every year for Halloween. I love that movie. But I'm watching it and I'm looking at the background of how they light darkness and how it's not dark and it's still, but how do they make, like, there's a candlelight that's supposed to be hitting two actors' face and it's on the table like a foot away from them, and they had this perfect light hitting their face. Like, oh well, they had the light down here, and they had this light that's streaming through a window. They have a cucaloris that's in the background. They're just doing all sorts of stuff. So I watch movies as, well, how do they do that, and how could I do that? And I would love to know how to, and I would like to try how to do that. With, they had like multi-million-dollar gear, but I don't have multi-million-dollar gear, but I could try, and I want to try that. So I look at movies like that nowadays.
I love going behind the door. I
Yeah.
do. I've mentioned this many times before, but I'll see horror fans, because and they'll be talking about all these horror movies. They'll be talking about it like, this and that, and I'm like, that's great, you saw the movie, but don't you ever just look at it and go, how they do that? I know
Yeah.
some people will say, well, I don't want to know, I don't want the magic to be taken away. Me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, because I'm just like, that's just strictly amazing how they did
Yeah.
that. And I want to know what the actor was thinking. I want to know what the actress was thinking. I
Yeah.
want to know, I want to know what the, how it works.
Yeah.
So I that's how I look. I don't look. I look at movies for enjoyment too.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Abbott and Costello, because right before I came over here, I was over on another stream, and they were talking about Abbott and Costello meet
I love
Frankenstein.
them.
I
I love
got that
Abbott.
one.
Yeah.
I got that in an Abbott Costello collection. I was like, yeah, maybe I should break that out. I mean, it's
Yeah.
1948. Let's break it
Yeah.
out.
Oh man,
Uh,
yeah, I love that movie. I love that
uh,
movie.
uh,
But like, yeah, I like the one thing that I deeply miss with streaming being so readily available is DVD commentaries. Like,
uh,
commentaries from the directors and actors and producers and writers. I loved
yeah,
commentaries.
me too.
Hearing how they did it on the day, how they came up with stuff, how they give shout outs to like the costume designer, like how they came up with like that stuff to me was like just gold, and just so
Yes,
interesting about what it was like for however, like the couple months that they worked on projects. I love DVD
I do
commentaries.
too. I do too. I know Bill Lawrence is really good at that. Zach
Hmm.
Braff he does commentary on his films.
Hmm.
Uh, 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 the guy that did Daryn
Hmm.
Lynn Bousman. I think he's from
Hmm.
Jersey too.
Yeah.
He does commentary on all his films. I'm with you. The one movie I'm watching tonight, Save the Date.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
I'm a huge ISC film fan.
yeah,
So I love their movies. So
yeah.
I picked this up, so I'm watching it to review, and
Mhm.
I'm listening, I'm watching it through, and then I'm listening to the commentary, and then I'm
Yeah.
seeing how he did it. And
Yeah.
then I really now after that, I'm going after that, I'm really going to be looking at it like, wow, he did such a sweet movie here, Lizzie
Yeah.
Kaplan and
Hmm.
Allison Brie. So they did immaculate. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what a great contrast. I can't
Yeah.
wait to sink into it.
Yeah.
Um, Thorn David Videos mentions, what is your favorite movie of all time? One that you can watch over and over, and it's like watching it for the first time. That's a great question.
That's a fantastic question. That's a fantastic question. So the movie I could watch every single time like the first time is it's Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Ah,
That
nice,
movie, I
nice.
love that movie. I've seen the commentary, I've listened to the commentary a bunch of times. I love that movie. There's not that movie to me. I'm a huge Schwarzenegger fan. I've seen almost every single solitary movie that he's done, especially during the 80s and 90s. And it was so different from the first Terminator movie. Like James Cameron did a total like switch in genres. And it was just like going from like first Terminator to second one, there's something about it that just it gives me deep joy. And also Sarah Connor becomes a badass. Like she's like they
Right.
just change her character from this damsel in distress to this buffed out, I'm gonna kick your ass lady. And I was like, oh, Linda
You know what? No,
Hamilton
you know what?
was a giant. I was a huge Linda Hamilton fan. I love her so much.
It's interesting you mentioned that because there's a scene in that movie that shows that Linda Hamilton wasn't the only badass, and that is when she's escaping,
Mm-hmm.
and the Terminator comes down there, and that woman guard is there, and she
That's
takes a
right. Yeah.
crack at.
Yeah.
Hell yeah! I was like, you go, girl, because she
Yeah.
was fearless. She
Yeah.
was fearless. She just has a crack across the face. I'm going like,
Yeah.
damn,
Yeah.
respect. I was
Yeah.
like, okay,
Respect.
yeah. I was like,
Respect. Definitely.
yeah. What wasn't the only badass out there.
True.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this or not, but I'll add this in because I think it's so freaking cool. So I was watching Michael Rosenbaum.
Mhm,
He does his podcast,
mhm.
and he had Edward Furlong on the show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now,
Oh my god. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Edward Furlong has a well-known
Yeah,
history.
yeah.
He's
He's had
been
a rough go.
sober. He's been sober now for I think when I heard that review interview, it was 6.5 years. So it's about 7.5 years now.
Oh,
He's been
good for
sober.
him. That's good for
Yes,
him.
happy ending. I was so
Him,
stoked. Yeah,
yeah, him and Macaulay Culkin have like I didn't know, but Macaulay Culkin also did a turn as well. I'm like, because child actors, especially the major ones in Hollywood, they've got. I mean, oof, they get it rough. They get it deeply rough once they stop becoming quote unquote cute,
yeah,
and it's just like, and I just feel and I feel so bad for them. But when they can come out on the other side of it, and granted it's
yeah.
years later, sometimes decades later, it's just like a great like underdog story. So I'm so happy to hear that.
I mean, you look at someone like Miley Cyrus,
Yeah,
who really careened dangerously to the edge, but then
yeah,
pulled herself back. And then you have someone like Britney Spears who went
Spears.
screaming over the edge and never
Yeah, I
came
mean,
back.
yeah,
Amanda
that with
Bynes,
the conservatorship, her father, like, there's just so many things where you hear Amanda Bynes too with her with like
yeah,
mental illness too, and it's just like you just feel awful because again that kind of goes into when you're asking me about kids. It's a delicate situation to have a child on set in an adult setting, and it's
yeah,
just like you have to be mindful of that. And I get it, you as an adult, you're working and you're just trying to get your job done. So you're just not paying attention, thinking of a little kid who's on set. I just need to do my thing, and they're not doing the thing that they need to do, and so I'm going to be hard on a child for it just because I need them to get the thing done. It's just not fair. It's just not fair.
yeah,
You have to be able to recognize those things. So I'm very passionate about kids on set and about how you
yeah,
should react to kids on set because you hear so many horror stories and it's not
yeah.
fair to
Too
them.
many,
It's not fair at all.
too
I'd
many.
rather you not write kids into a film or a TV show to save them versus, them becoming famous for a period of time, but then totally messing them up as
especially
an
when their
adult.
parents especially when their parents just give them up.
Yeah.
um
Oh,
I went to do this show. I would I would go to some IMDb groups on Facebook and whatnot, and I ask who would want to do a show, like how I did
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
Uh, I would get parents, make 4 or 5 parents want me to talk to their 10-year-old. And I just
Mhm.
sit there and say, "I don't do in minors. I don't interview minors, and
Mhm.
you shouldn't be doing that." And I told them that, I
Mhm.
said, "You should not be putting your kid. There's no way you should have a man, your kid be talking to, you know, an older guy or an older girl like myself. That's just not right. It's
Mhm.
you know, I've only done 2 in my career, and both their parents were right there on
Yep.
camera. You know, and that's the only way I did it, and and yeah, that's the only 2 I've ever done, and I won't do it anymore. They
Yeah.
both went fine. They both
Yeah.
were well, but it just made me feel really uncomfortable. Like, to me, I just think it's just the parent projecting through the child.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not interviewing the child. I'm interviewing you because you didn't become an actress or an actor.
Yeah.
This is really about you and not the kid.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Totally.
talking to you. I want to, you know. So yeah, I'm with you. I love the
Mhm.
story with Jose and
Yeah. Oh my god. I mean,
oh my God!
I
If
mean,
I
the
ever get a
whole
chance
room.
to talk to him, if I
Oh
get a
yeah.
chance to talk to him, we'll have some fun with that. But listen, I'm going to go ahead and let you know because I've kept you way past my time. I want to say thank you so much, and I want to thank the chat for coming out here and hanging out with us. I hope you had a great time. Thank you to the people who came out to support Daryn, Danielle, and Thorn David, and who else is here? Leandro Duarte was here.
Leandro,
Thank
yeah.
you so much. Yep,
Yeah.
and the the actress's
Amanda's
mother.
there. Mhm.
Where is she? Where is she? Nora's
Lenny
here.
was
Thank
there.
you.
Lenny was
Lenny.
there too.
Yeah, Lenny was there too. Yes. Yes. So we'll be back tomorrow night with Mike Markoff. Actor Mike Markoff will be here. He is uh, he's definitely one of my rising stars. He did Hitman with Glenn Powell. He's done my #1 movie I've seen this year, When Jack Came Back. Can't wait to talk to him tomorrow. Be a good thing to see him again. And yeah, and thank you guys all for coming up for tonight. And we'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. If you just want to stay right there for 1 minute, I'm gonna say goodnight to the chat here, and then we'll talk off camera.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so very
All
much
right.
again.
Good night, everybody. Peace. That was fun.